Good evening, everyone. Aussie Dude here. Hope you're well and I hope you're enjoying your weekend. Guys, welcome to my first trilogy review. Basically, this review is based on a series called The Mummy, starring Brendan Fraser, Rachel Weisz, and also John Hannon, a very famous Scottish actor. Basically, I'm going to go a little bit shorter this evening on this review because obviously it's a whole trilogy of films, so I'm not going to talk too much about it. It's actually a film series I watched today, based on, obviously, I said about I'm going to go and see the new Mummy film that's starring Tom Cruise and Annabelle Wallis tomorrow. But this is a little bit different, so I thought I'd talk about this trilogy. So, a bit of a breakdown for you. The first two films is based on a character called Imhotep. Basically, Imhotep is a high priest for the pharaoh who's actually ruling the kingdom at that current time. At the same time, he decides to get together with someone called Anck-Sun-Amun, who's actually the pharaoh's mistress. Basically, no man was allowed to touch Anck-Sun-Amun because obviously he was the pharaoh's mistress altogether. So what he did, obviously, she sacrificed herself because obviously she loved him, and basically Imhotep tried to go to the city of the dead. So he decided, I'm going to raise her using the Book of the Dead because he was a high priest in control of all the artifacts of Egypt and also other I'll probably say other books as well that actually relate to their culture and how they ruled at the time. Basically, after that, Imhotep actually got mummified and he was under a curse called the Hundai, which is actually a curse which he can control the sand, he can do sandstorms, he can control, bring the plague, basically on the Book of Moses kind of thing, like the frogs, the lightning, the fire, the rivers of blood. So a little bit different on that side. Long story short, obviously Brendan Fraser and Rachel Weisz, they have to travel to Hamunaptra, which is the city of the dead, and they accidentally raise Imhotep from the dead to do his objective to raise Anck-Sun-Amun. Eventually, with the films itself, obviously John Hannon plays Evelyn, who's actually played by Rachel Weisz. He plays her brother Jonathan, and Brenda Fraser plays Rick O'Connell. All these characters are actually based on a cartoon. So they did a cartoon back in 1998, and obviously all these films are actually based on a cartoon, which many people enjoy. I think they only did 2 seasons. But yeah, the cartoon was a success, and obviously that's why they made the films in general, because everyone actually enjoyed the films. The first film, obviously, Imhotep did get defeated. So, it kind of lifted it on that point. And then the second film was made. And this is an interesting factor because the second film is not just based on Imhotep. It's actually Imhotep versus The Rock. Yes, that is correct. Mr. Dwayne Johnson, who played the character, the Scorpion King. Scorpion King was basically a warrior before Imhotep's time who wanted to rule the whole world. And what he did is he made a deal with Anubis, the god of death. And basically what Anubis did, he allowed him to use his armies to rule Egypt and everything like that. But in return, the Scorpion King had to give up his soul. So at this point, it's about 10 years later, actually. It's based in 1933. Obviously, Rick O'Connell and Evelyn are both married. They've had a son called Alex. And obviously, Alex wears the bracelet of Anubis. Basically, the bracelet of Anubis is where you have to go to the pyramid in the desert of Amshir. And what was it? Basically, if you didn't get there in 7 days, the Scorpion King would awake, and his army would also awake. Would actually look like Anubis himself. It did come down to overall Imhotep being reawakened again by a cult, which is different this time. So they actually went to Hamunaptra to dig up Imhotep, and because apparently Imhotep was strong enough to defeat the Scorpion King. But this is the catcher. The Scorpion King actually took Imhotep's powers away before he fought him, just as a normal human being, no longer being immortal whatsoever. So, yeah, basically, it came towards the end of the film, doing the journey through air balloon, which is actually a different type of different kind of form of transportation, to be honest. Instead of going through as camel or driving cars, as you see throughout the films. And obviously, John Hannon there still is comedy humour. As being the brother who's always panicky and not sure what's going on, so he's always there to lend a hand. Near the end of the film, obviously, Imhotep's defeated again, and obviously one of the biggest matchups I would have thought in early films, like the last 16 years actually, Brendan Fraser versus Dwayne Johnson. Obviously, bear in mind, this is Dwayne Johnson's one of his first original films he did just before, whilst he was doing WrestleMania, which is interesting actually. And yeah, so he actually defeated him, and then they left on a high note, and yeah, literally they go back to London, where they're originally from, and stayed there. The third film came away from the Egyptian setting. Basically, it was based on the time of China. And this was based on an emperor called Emperor Hun, which is, they call himself the Dragon Emperor. And also, this film actually had two famous martial artists that we just remember. He had Michelle Yeoh, who's actually quite famous in martial arts from Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, if I remember correctly, and also Jet Li. Jet Li, one of the most famous martial artists at the world in this moment, starring in most films like The Expendables, has also fought Jackie Chan on many occasions. But yeah, The Expendables, I've seen him in working with Jason Statham and Sylvester Stallone. With this one's a little bit different. Obviously, this is after World War II. The O'Connells are actually retired, and their son's now grown up, actually doing his own extradition of finding the dictatorial army, and obviously the emperor. So basically, he was doing his own archaeological dig and digging up his own artifacts, because obviously him and his parents no longer communicate. So in this case, it got to the point where Michelle, who was actually a witch, who the emperor asked him to help him become immortal, but she actually placed a curse on him and his army because he killed the man that she loved, his actual general, his oldest friend and closest ally. And at that time, that was his punishment. He killed him. And then it came to the point where, they're all in Shanghai. It's based on the emperor got woken up by something called the Eye of Shangri-La. So basically, what the eye is it was like the pool of elixir of life. So basically, to make you immortal. So that brought up the emperor. The emperor needed the pool of life to make himself immortal, and therefore be able to bring his army back from the dead, so they can cross the Great Wall of China and actually become invincible, which is a little bit different. But in return, Michelle Yeoh's character Zhu Yan actually brought back the soldiers that weren't conquered by him, and also her General Ming, who was actually one of the main characters at the beginning of the film. So basically, he was leading the revolution against the emperor. Eventually, it did come down again to another fight between Brendan Fraser and Jet Li. So another two action-packed actors in the world at that time who fight against each other. So Brendan Fraser fight first The Rock in the second film, and then he fights Jet Li in the third film. So obviously a bit of martial arts, and it's kind of different as well. It's kind of going away from Egypt to like the China setting, which is kind of, so you see a bit of martial arts, a bit of combat, and a lot of mystical creatures as well. Some stuff you wouldn't really expect to see in films these days, like yetis and obviously dragons and some other creature the emperor transforming into. Overall, it did end on a good note again. Obviously, the good guys win, and I could say no more on that. So every time they fought a mummy, the O'Connells always win. They always, even though they resurrect them from the dead, they always vanquish them at the end with killing them off with specific artifacts, or using books like transcripts to kill them, or get the character vanquished. So overall, I would say with this particular film, it wasn't the strongest. It didn't. I mean, the first two films were really, really good. The third one didn't have really good reviews, unfortunately, because obviously I think trying to revamp a series or trying to end it after 7 years is quite a long time. I would probably say, from what they said on the website, it was roughly about 6.8 out of 10. For me, I'll probably say a little bit less than that. I'll probably say 5.8. The actors are fantastic. The storyline's brilliant because obviously originally originated from a cartoon, which, you know, going from a cartoon to an action-packed film it's quite difficult. It's like the video games we were talking about the other day, like Resident Evil and Tomb Raider, and also like Assassin's Creed. So it's always hard to bring something different back. So for my review, I'll give it 5.8 out of 10. And yeah, I recommend just to watch it in like a general afternoon. If you're relaxing, not doing too much, maybe if you were, just busy doing something, just chatting with friends, something just to switch the TV on, just watch it in general. That's my opinion. So yeah, guys, and it has no relation to the new Mummy film, just to let you guys know. So I'm going to see that tomorrow. Hope it's fantastic. I'm not going to give out any spoilers. So fantastic. If you have any questions, let me know. And also, finally, guys, I'd like to say thank you for everyone who has liked my page today and also follow me in my new page, Aussie225. Thank you very much. Thumbs up to all of you. You guys are fantastic. Guys, I wish you enjoy the rest of your weekend, and I shall speak to you soon. See you later, and I hope you can't wait to see my next review. See you later. Bye.